Okay, time being 7:12, call the Water Sewer Commissioners meeting to order for June 15th, 2023. Our members in attendance are Keith Waniaz, Colin Hare, and Bob Sullivan. Well, Systems Manager Bob Sullivan. First thing on the agenda is System Manager's Water Sewer Reports. We just have the sewer report, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, so for May we had 2.41 inches of rain, 6.532 million gallons of flow for an average of 210,723. Synagro hauled 78,300 gallons. We wasted 128,730 gallons for an average of 4,153 gallons a day. Used 145 gallons of alum, 0 gallons of sodium hydroxide, 336 kilowatt hours of electricity, and the river average was 570.786 cubic feet per second. We started the DMR QA study 43. We had Helgerson come in and clean out the siphon lines. They also cleaned out the lines at the plant down here from this building. This one always backs up. The Data Street pump station and the Colonial pump station went well. So we got the sewer side.
That's a yearly. Is that yearly or
We usually do it twice a year.
Okay, twice a year. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to have any.
Yeah, I just say we had an issue once, so we don't want to have it again.
I
So.
agree. Okay. All right.
And that being said, part of the engineering stuff and everything, I've got them looking at what the capacity of that, what the 2 6-inch siphon pipes are. Just because that wasn't something that was identified when we were doing all the expansions. Because originally it was just the 2 buildings and there wasn't a tremendous amount of flow, but now when we add the Pine project, that increases a lot, and it all comes through that siphon. So I just want to make sure we have the capacity there. So
How big is that line coming through?
coming through here,
Yeah.
there's 2 6-inch lines.
Oh,
So
okay.
it typically runs through one pipe, and then
Yeah.
if that backs up, it goes to the second one. The problem with the siphon is you've got to size it right, because if you size it too big
You don't get a
and you
sign.
don't have the flow,
Yeah.
all the stuff settles out in the pipe and then it blocks up.
Yeah.
Size it too small, obviously you can't handle the flow.
Yeah.
You need it going by fast enough to kind of scour the pipe.
Is Gina looking at that?
Yep, they're evaluating that as part of
Stantec, I should say.
the project. I also told the engineers from the other company that we have doing the asset management on the wastewater side. I asked them to give me a value as to what the capacity of that is, just because it's one of our assets. We need to determine what it's capable of and if it needs to be upgraded or not. So, two different groups working on it. So,
Good.
and it's funded not by us, so you guys will get what we can out of them.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Anything else?
Meeting minutes, we have May 2nd. I'm going to have a hold on the February and the April. Just that was Keith and Bob. And then May we can do.
So I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for May 2nd, 2023.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Project update.
So we have a lot of projects going on.
Yep. Everything seems to be going well. I mean,
So far,
smoothly
yeah.
far.
I mean,
For the
not as
most
fast, not as fast as me and Bob, or the other Bob want things moving, but Ricciardi does seem to be, they keep delaying on things. We had a meeting in early spring to discuss the pump station and everything, and we had it with the bridge people and everybody else, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, it'd be best if you could hold off a little longer until we're out of the way, so that we're not in each other's way." And they tried to go with that, and after the meeting, I'm like, "No, let's stick to the original schedule. I want to keep everything moving. We'll work around the bridge people. We'll move them if we have to, whatever." And because Ricciardi was looking for the delays anyway, so I preferred not to give them an excuse to delay it. This way, the delay is on them, not on us. Because if we had told them to delay it, You know, they could have came in and said, oh, well, you know, we need a change order because
yeah.
we had it planned for this
Right.
time, and so I didn't want any reason for them to either come up with a change order or have a reason to delay it. And as we suspected, they'd come up with a million reasons why it needs to be delayed. And one of my big concerns was they never submitted the submittals for the pump station, even up to the time that we had that meeting. So I knew
They
the
were-
time they didn't order it yet.
Yeah.
So they needed to get it approved by the engineers and everything else. So I knew they were already behind the 8 ball. I mean, they should have had those submittals in last fall. So they're coming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to do this termination manhole at this end, just beyond Amy's house there.
Mhm.
That's the one where the new 6-inch force main goes in. So that'll finish up the work down this end of town. That way CJP can come in and get their paving done. So that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. I forgot when it's a holiday. And then they're supposed to be starting on Northeast Maine. They were supposed to start in May, but still haven't started that.
Mhm.
So hopefully we can get them moving on that.
So CJP is paving, what are they paving?
CJP's paving from Main Street down north all the way to the mill parking lot.
Full overlay?
Actually, we had him come out and meet with us. He brought his paving guy out, and we looked at everything. And because there's no reveal, and they just kept layering on top of north, and the condition of north, and we've got multiple trenches there. And over here, you know how bad the road is right over here. And then we got 3 trenches going down that road.
Excuse me.
We asked them to give us a price to go mag the whole thing,
Mhm.
recover the whole road, and then just come in new base and top. So basically redo the entire road. So we're gonna see what the additional cost for that will be, and hopefully it works within the numbers.
Mhm.
Because then it'll be a new road instead of, I mean, if you try to mill an overlay with 3 trenches like that, the trenches are gonna end up showing through.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than just a trench patch, but
Mhm.
it's not as good as if we did the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that's our intent. We're gonna try to push for that. So at least it'll be all new from Main Street all the way
All
down.
the way down. So then the only thing left would be Northeast Maine.
Right. Well, Northeast Main, and then from the beginning of the mill parking lot all the way down to Blackstone Valley Logistics.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's on Rich Hardy.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who they use for a paver, but
So how about the pump station? What's
the pump station, they were saying it was. I got too many projects. They were supposed to start early July, I think, but it sounded like they were pushing for August. They came and drilled the test wells to determine what the water table was going to be, and it looks like it's pretty good delineated there. So it looks like they said they can use a slide rail system instead,
Mhm.
which takes it from 4 week or from I think it said 12 weeks to 4 weeks or something like that. So he can do it a lot faster if he has the slide rail system in.
Mhm.
It happened to be that his dewatering guy is the guy that we use to do our well rehabs. So he came out, and then he's out here doing our well rehab now. So he had talked to me the other day saying that when he pumped it down, like no water, so he shouldn't have any issues over there.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah,
that's good. That'll be quicker. The water that was there is like from where they dug out to put the original pump station in the backfill. So that's got that sandy material, so all the water's there, but it's more.
It's pocket.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a pocket around that. So that should at least speed up that process there. Then they've got to do the valve vault and everything out in the road. So I think their intention is to come and try to do the mill and overlay from the Blackstone Valley Logistics up to the Uxbridge line, and then complete their work with the pump station and everything, and then come back and do that section from the Uxbridge line to the center of the mill parking lot.
How'd they make out with the issue with the gas line and the valve and with the whole bridge?
That was a mess, but
Yeah, they figured out. what-
yeah. So they came over closer to our sewer, so they're probably kind of right on top of our sewer.
Yeah.
and then came in this way, and then over that way and that way. So, and I took a bunch of pictures of everything, so
Yeah.
we'll at least know what's
So that's
there.
all done, everything's across the bridge?
All our stuff is done. I think the last thing they have to finish up on this side of the bridge is the electrical. So they called National Grid to get approvals for the electrical, and it's like a 3 or 4 month. And they said, "Yeah, we're not waiting. We'll come up with a plan." So I think they got to go before the Board of Selectmen, because the way they wanted to run it originally, it was running like in between the drain and my water main, which would have been right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really want the high voltage that close if we're working on water mains. So we looked at it, and I told them I didn't have a problem if they cross the water main, go out further up the road, and then come back across the water main. So there's only two spots that you're crossing.
Instead of the whole length of it.
Right.
Makes sense.
So they got, but because it's going in the road, they got to go before the selectmen to get approval to run it into the road,
Mm-hmm.
because they're the highway
Yeah.
commission or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think they're supposed to be on this Tuesday's selectmen's meeting to try to get that approved. So that's that project. The North Street, we're making headway on the engineering there. We went up and cleared the access road to go into where the storage tank would be.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So they're supposed to go in and drill the test wells to determine, what you have for a base for the tank and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know Gina said that her numbers look like it still goes more towards a 500,000 gallon tank than what did I say, 300,000.
But you had mentioned a golf ball, right? Was it a golf ball?
Yeah, so it'll be an elevated.
Okay.
We're not sure whether it's a spheroid or an elevated standpipe type, or I prefer the pedestal
Mm-hmm.
with more of a spheroid type, but.
So they're working on that, see what they come up
Yeah,
with.
so we'll wait till they come up with their design. So they're making pretty good headway with the design there.
So with 500,000, will it be just cylinder?
No, they're
They're
all
still
elevated,
okay,
yeah.
elevated,
Just because of the height we need to go, it wouldn't be good to do a standpipe,
okay.
because it has to be like 115 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
You don't want, you'd have a lot of unusable water at the
Mhm.
bottom of a standpipe, so.
Mm-hmm.
I know I talked to John yesterday, and we looked at it, and he wants her to run the numbers to go a 16-inch main down North Street instead of a 12. Just hydraulic wise, there's less friction because there's a lot longer run of pipe than going to the Franklin Street tank, and these two tanks will work simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
If we have too much friction loss going up to that tank, then this tank will fill too fast and we won't get this one full, so you'd have to add an altitude valve over here. But I did say if they're, whether it's a 300 or 500, they need to design it with the mixing inside the tank, probably there and Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Just because with that volume, I've got, 500,000 and 3/4 so you got 1.25 million gallons, and you're filling and emptying them at the same time. So it's going to be a lot longer drawdown and a lot longer fill. So I need to shorten my band so it comes on more often,
Mm-hmm.
and not wait for it, because it'll take all day to fill it back up. Or longer than the day, I guess. But
Yeah.
so I got to shorten the span. And doing that, you turn over as much. So we need to keep the water moving.
So everything's still on track for Pine Side, what they plan
Yeah.
over there?
Um,
There's nothing, there's no other talk of anything else, right? Just the Pine.
just those projects.
Someone else
right
had
now.
asked me a question on that, and I said I wasn't sure, so I'll find out.
Yeah, those are the only ones that I know of right now. There is talk with someone wanting to do kind of a wheelabrator type thing, converting trash and energy, and
That's on the other side though, right?
yeah.
Yeah, down the old Carter Road.
Yep.
By Carter's house down there.
Yep. But that I got to meet with them to discuss potentially taking the wastewater effluent So they're looking for like 300,000 gallons a day, which is more than we make.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be nice if we could turn all of our discharge into water for them.
How would we get that over there? I remember we had talked about that on another project as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Given the fact we don't wanna be paving and having.
I don't then dig it back up. So, I don't know. That's one of the things I got to talk to them about. I'm not sure how many properties we got to go through to get to it. If we can stay in the shoulder or what we can do with it, but it's special pipe if we're doing that. It's a purple engraved pipe. But getting to them, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense to go northeast Maine, go that way, or I mean, this would have been the better path, but
Straight this way.
there's no way I can do it in time
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna hold everything up.
before this gets paved, and I'm not slowing down these projects.
Yeah.
Those roads are horrible right now. So
Yeah.
I guess you cross the river and go cross country.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that used to be what Kibby's land in the back there.
Yeah, it's still in.
Now it's
It's still in the Wickstrom.
Wickstrom.
Yeah.
And then we own after that.
Yeah, all the way down.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll look at what we have for options. Can't hurt to meet with him and see what we got to do. But he was saying that he needed to take 300,000 and then give back 300,000. So I don't know what his waste would consist of. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it would just offset itself. We would take it, send it back here, treat it, send it back to him. No, I haven't got into any details.
Yeah, okay.
I just talked to him this week, so I got to set up a meeting with him and the people that design the stuff for him. I met with a guy today to start the lead service line replacement or inventory and replacement plan.
That's on Main Street going through.
No, so this one's just to evaluate the entire town.
Okay. Is that the one we got the grant?
This is the one that
Yeah.
we got the full $200,000 grant for.
Yep.
So, I think it's next Thursday. They want to do the kickoff meeting for that. That'll get that ball rolling. I don't know much to tell you on that, other than we're gonna come up with a plan to try to identify the best we can
Yep.
what still exists for lead goosenecks and
Yeah.
what potential exposure we have. And then come up with a plan if we identify that we have it, what our plan is to remove it in the future.
Yeah.
My plan is to try to keep getting money and replacing all the mains, and that gets rid of the problem.
Yeah, right? That'd be nice. Now gas is they're finished up on Main Street?
Gas, the project overall, where they're going, is supposed to be done now.
Yeah.
There are other phases that have been discussed. Those aren't starting right now, I don't think. But they finished up. I don't know why it's taking so long. I don't know if they were doing their pressure testing stuff today or they've been 4 days up there on Main Street. So
Yeah.
once they get that done, I think now they're either they've already done it or they're in the process of doing the pressure test, and then they're gonna liven it up with gas. And then it's just whoever's connected, they're ready to go.
I'm surprised they don't run up the other end of Main Street. Just to pick up all the businesses,
Well,
the restaurants.
I've pushed all of those with them,
Yeah.
so I guess phase 2 would be to extend it from where it ends on Main now, over and up Gleason Court
Yeah,
to get to the schools.
yeah,
Phase 3 is to go down Main up to Depot and go up to basically get to the municipal center.
so I get you most of Main Street.
Right, that would cover most of Main Street. And it's really the banks,
Yeah.
really not much after that, so
Yeah.
that would cover most of the higher demand.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I guess the 4th phase would probably be to go down Davis Street to get to Uxbridge.
Yeah.
You know, probably to tie a loop into the Campanelli project over there.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, we're in the middle of the asset management on the wastewater side. They had a whole swarm of engineers out here going through everything in this place, from the buildings, the structures, the HVAC, the electrical, mechanical, everything through the whole plant. We're probably halfway through that. We just got the application that I gotta get Matt to sign. I don't know if we get him to sign it today or not, but the application to submit for the reimbursement. So
Mhm.
we got a $38,000 reimbursement I think we're submitting for right now.
Good.
So we're about halfway through that project. And we'll be kicking off the water asset management plan. So that'll be another project that'll be starting up real soon. That I think, I gotta go to the meeting Tuesday night with the selectmen to get them to authorize Matt to sign all that stuff to move forward on that one. The wells are being rehabbed right now. They couldn't believe how good the well looked, so we're only on the first one right now, but
Which one are they doing now?
the Glen Street, the submersible. So they pulled it out and they couldn't believe how good it looked for 30 years not being done. He said typically everybody does them every 5 years. And we've gone 30. He's like, I thought we were going to have a pump falling off the pipe or whatever.
Mhm.
But he took everything back to his shop. He goes through the pumps, the motors, everything. The motor megged out outside of spec. So we had him order the motor. He said, he's like, because I asked him, I said, I want to get a spare and have it on the shelf as well, so let's figure out what that is. He's like, oh, don't worry about motors, I have them all over the shop, I can get you one, no problem. It's not a good idea to keep motors on the shelf too long because you lose the warranty. He says you can get the warranty reestablished if you wait and then, 5 years down the road you need one, you call them out, they'll come recertify it and you get your warranty again.
Mhm.
Then he called me up and he says, I didn't realize your pump was a 200 volt 3-phase. He says that's not common, so they're hard to get. So you might want to have one on the shelf. So, and then he went through the pump. He said everything looked good, but it is worn down some, so we lost capacity on it.
Mhm.
So it was like $2,000 something for a new pump. So I said order another one and a spare. So we'll have a spare motor, spare pump.
Mhm.
And he's going to put a new motor, new pump in. And I'll probably get the old motor and pump back just because they still work, but it's just outside of spec.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go through all that effort because it's a lot more money pulling it out and
Doing a whole.
going through everything than
Yeah.
it's not worth putting it back that way.
Right.
Like I said, we got 30 years out of it. And
Yeah,
nothing's
that's-
ever been
that's-
done to it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it doesn't owe us anything, so.
It's nice we get the same kind of thing on again.
Yeah, so
What about Depot Street?
Depot. So we got to start on that. I've asked Gina to get me the contract, so I haven't got that from her yet. But as soon as I get that from her, we'll get moving. But it seemed like the select board was more on board with having us pay for the engineering first, as opposed to taking the ARPA funds to pay for the engineering. So I just got to see what the contract is, how much it's going to be, and I got to try to get on it right now and see if I because I don't think we budgeted enough to pull the whole thing because we had planned on going the other route. So if I have enough that I can ask her to send me like the contract to do the surveying first
Mhm.
and get that into this year and then finalize the rest into the next, because they can't do anything until they get the surveying going anyway.
Yeah.
So I might split that just to,
What was the total? Do you know the total? Do you have any idea what the total on that was?
for the engineering.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 157.
Okay.
That was the estimate. I think we put 100 between the water and sewer, but
Mhm. So what was the total? What was the total? Well, you won't know my total cost on it.
we won't know
Yeah,
until they
yeah.
go through the engineering. But I want to say it was around 2 million was the estimate.
Okay. And the ARPA funds are from,
One-
like 1.6,
Well,
something like that.
They thought it was 1.6, but it was 1.4 because they had forgot they already approved 200,000 for another project that wasn't on the list when they did their tally of how much they had left. So it's 1.4 that we get.
What project was that?
I want to say it was a fire department project, but I'm not positive.
So they have to redo the motion on what they, because I think it was approved that there was a dollar figure associated with that at the selectmen's meeting that we attended.
Yeah. I forget how they worded it.
Mhm.
I don't remember if they said the remaining, but I know there was a little more that they kept aside.
There was
So I
like,
think that
It was something for a
50
position. It was like
50,000.
50,000 per position.
like
Right.
50,000, I think.
So then that's
So I'll have to look at how they worded it, and I'll have to ask Matt if they had to amend their
motion.
their motion or their vote.
And then
Hopefully
does
that's-
that change just the project, cause there's no really sense in doing that project unless it's a loop, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, if we're gonna do it, I won't do the whole thing, get
Yeah.
it done, but.
And was there any discussion on, just running up to loop it over down the rail bed?
Yeah,
To try to get
the
that.
engineers looked at both routes and they're coming up with both plans.
Yeah,
We'd have to try to get an easement from the railroad company, and
Yeah.
we'll look into that.
yeah,
I did have a bunch of people in the town working on figuring out what we had for right of way and everything up there. So we're looking into that, but that would be my preferred way. What I'd like to do is if we talk to the railroad company or whatever, and if we can get an
That's
easement.
under Department of Conservation and Recreation, but I don't know if the railroad still has any
Yeah,
involvement in that.
DCU's involved with that.
Yeah,
If you look at, on the thing, it still says Providence Worcester Railroad or whatever
And it's not.
on the deed, on the assessor's maps.
yeah.
I think they own it. I think DCR probably has an agreement or something with them, but I don't think it's DCR that owns it.
I know if you still have to file paperwork for, if you're building near it or building across, you have to file with for the railroad,
Right, I think they still own it.
yeah.
But if we can get easement from them, what I'd like to do is get the easement from the Franklin Street tank all the way down to, what is that, Monroe?
Yeah.
Because if we can get that easement all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good line to run if we ever wanted to loop to, over to Davis Street.
Okay.
So we come up Monroe and then go down the rail bed
Yeah.
instead, because it goes way up and we wouldn't have, it'd be,
Mhm.
the elevation would be too high. We wouldn't have pressure to be able to maintain that loop.
Yeah.
But
You
if
may
we
wanna-
came down the rail bed, it would work.
You may wanna have a conversation probably soon on that, cause I don't know what they are supposed to, remember that project they were talking about for the horse path and a bike
Yeah.
path? I think that's still moving forward, so,
Oh, yeah.
we wanna obviously
maybe-
get in before that.
Yeah, maybe we could make that as part of the deal is, we'll regrade and whatever that coating they wanna put down or whatever. I know they wanna do half and half or something.
They're doing, some sort of material that's not pavement, but
Mm.
it's enough, it's hard.
Permeable,
Yeah,
softer,
yeah.
something.
And then the other portion is gonna be the dirt or whatever they use for the horses.
Yeah.
Well,
The stretch from, they flattened, they went through years ago and flattened everything, and it's great when the weeds and stuff aren't growing up, but stretches of that's got that Japanese knotweed now, like you can't imagine. It's like walking through a tunnel.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah, I remember when they graded out the whole thing though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, so we probably wanna find out about that,
Yeah.
to see when they plan on doing that, and then try to,
Yeah, if we can coordinate with them to get in there before them.
Right.
If we start up at that end,
yeah.
that would probably be better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else? Projects do we get going on? I think I covered most of them. North Street, the Davis Monroe. I think they're almost done with the engineering there.
Yep,
They're pretty much at the 75% or whatever, so we could move forward if we needed to on that one. We are trying to somewhat stall it, just because we don't want them to
Yeah,
finalize it right
yeah.
away, because it gives us longer to
yeah. Yep.
maintain that.
Is there any smaller projects, anything, normal day-to-day stuff?
Hiring?
Yeah, that's. I want to try to focus on that this weekend because I'm in here this weekend, so I want to put ads back out and all the trade stuff.
I do have a lead
Oh, yeah?
on somebody that might be interested,
You know what position?
Assistant Chief Operator for wastewater.
That would be good, 'cause that's one
Yeah.
that I don't have a lead on yet.
Yeah,
Yep. Is that a license and everything?
yeah,
Oh, good.
covers grade 5.
Perfect.
I haven't met him, I don't know him, but a couple people have told me about him,
Okay.
so,
Well, if you get me his name, I might be able to
Yeah.
avoid putting another ad out.
yeah, okay.
Ads are expensive.
They are.
I
Yeah,
think
crazy.
So far this year, I'm not around $6,000 in freaking ads.
Yeah, I'll get you his name.
I'll give him my name and number, whatever.
Yeah.
Name, number, email. Because I do have a potential lead on the water too, so it would just be that entry level that we would be looking for.
Yep.
But any one of the three would be helpful, cause we're running ragged with trying to keep up with all the projects and everything going on.
Yeah. So we're gonna be looking for a laborer, assistant, water in the system.
Ticks.
Oh, the tick? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, anything else? Open sessions for, topics not reasonably anticipated 40 hours in advance of the meeting? Anything? No? Anything else? No? Okay. For a motion to adjourn?
Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:43.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.